Tucker Carlson, who some people hate because they're so perfect, has apologised for promoting the Iraq War. Why don't more mainstream figures apologise for promoting wars and lying to us just a couple of years ago? Is it because there's so many lies the whole system would fall apart? Hello there, you 6.3 million awakening wonders. Thanks for joining me on this voyage towards truth and freedom. Together we can cultivate the light within ourselves and eradicate the darkness that they would have us die within. If you haven't turned on the notification bell yet, turn on the notification bell right now and subscribe to this channel. We make content every single day and we want you to see all of it because we live for you. We make this content for you. We are hoping that from you the solution will arise, that the solution is already within you, and we're just waiting for the great day when it becomes action, real action. And part of that action will involve redemption, admitting that mistakes have been made in the past, apologizing, moving forwards. Just like Tucker Carlson has done. Tucker Carlson, in a recent interview, admitted that he regrets the way that he promoted the Iraq War, a war that now looks like it was illegally undertaken, almost as if sometimes the media promotes an agenda because of their affiliation with corporate partners, and the state doesn't represent you, doesn't protect you, except for the minimum amount it can get away with, but in fact underwrites the desires, wishes, and agenda of their corporatist, globalist partners. And if more people were like Tucker Carlson and apologized, even if you disagree with them on some issues, you'd start to see that the system could improve, that the media could change, the government could change, that there are different ways of running society and running your own life. Let's have a look at that now.
I've spent my whole life in the media. My dad was in the media. Like, that is a big part of the revelation that's changed my life, is the media are part of the control apparatus. Like, there's no, yeah, I know, because you're younger and smarter and you're like, yeah. But what if you're me and you spent your whole life in that world, and to look around and all of a sudden you're like, oh, wow. Not only are they part of the problem, but I spent most of my life being part of the problem, defending the Iraq War. Like, I actually did that. Can you imagine if you did that?
It's 20 years, of course, since the Iraq War, and a perfect time to review some of the attitudes that led to it, some of the poor decisions, the rallying that the media undertook. It's very rare to see anyone in public life make a mea culpa of that nature, let alone someone as frequently vilified as Tucker Carlson, who's frequently, consistently held up as the epitomization of right-wing hatred and divisiveness. But having recently personally met Tucker Carlson, I found him to be a person that was convivial and warm, and that you have to go some to dislike people that are honest and open. I'm not saying that Tucker Carlson might have different opinions to me on politics and economics and race and gender and all sorts of subjects, but frankly, I have disagreements with people that are right up close in my life, and I manage to love them anyway. What is significant is the ability to allow people to live differently than you and have different views than you, and to apologize critically for mistakes made in the past. If you can say, I was wrong about my stance on the Iraq War, I was part of the problem, I was rallying on behalf of the establishment, I am to some degree responsible for the death of Iraqi civilians who need not have died, it was wrong that they died. Now we've got this kind of collective amnesia, this full steam ahead, never look back, don't worry about what we said at the beginning of the pandemic, that's history. Don't worry about what we're saying about the war between Russia and Ukraine, or what happened in 2014, or what promises America and the Soviet Union made when the Berlin Wall came down. Forget it. There's nothing to learn from any of that. Imagine if you saw George W. Bush or Tony Blair or Joe Biden or Barack Obama. Wouldn't you like to see Obama say, it was wrong that we killed those people with drone strikes in Syria? Wouldn't you like to see Joe Biden say it was wrong that that family died as a result of that bomb campaign? Wouldn't you like to see Tony Blair? People that should be taking responsibility. These are powerful figures. These are not skirmishes and minor misdemeanors and the culture's changed and things look a bit different now and I shouldn't have said that. This is not that. That stuff, I'm on the side of that's necessary progress, and it's good that those conversations are happening and people aren't ignorant to the effect and impact of their language and actions on others. That's good, that's positive, it should happen. But redemption, forgiveness, moving forward, particularly in geopolitical issues where millions of lives are lost, if you're going to foreclose that, put that to one side and focus fastidiously instead on what I would regard as minor cultural differences, emphasizing those differences in order to prevent progress, what kind of culture are we going to get? What kind of real progress are we going to get?
What is one of your biggest regrets in your career?
Oh, defending the Iraq War.
That is it?
Well, I've had a million regrets not being more skeptical, calling people names when I should have listened to what they were saying. Look, when someone makes a claim, there's only one question that's important at the very beginning, which is the claim true or not? And for too long, I participated in the culture where I was like, anyone who thinks outside these pre-prescribed lanes is crazy, is a conspiracy theorist. And I just really regret that. I'm ashamed that I did that. And partly it was age, partly it was the world that I grew up in. So when you look at me and you're like, yeah, of course they're part of the means of control, I'm like, that's obvious to you because you're 28, but I just didn't see it at all. And I'm ashamed of that.
Isn't that what the media tries to do, though?
It's their only purpose.
Right.
They're not here to inform you. Really? Even on the big things that really matter, like the economy and war and COVID and like things that really matter that will affect you. No, their job is not to inform you. They are working for the small group of people who actually run the world. They're their servants. They're their Praetorian Guard. And we should treat them with maximum contempt because they have earned it.
Wow, there you go. So who are the real conspiracy theorists and what's the blunt and simple truth? Is it, as Tucker Carlson claims, that the media simply amplify and magnify the preferred opinions and agenda of the powerful? Or is it that all of a sudden loads of people have become conspiracy theorists? Let me know in the chat, let me know in the comments. Some interesting claims, ideas, and an interesting perspective from a media insider who has become critical almost to the point of becoming a whistleblower. But let's look now at some of the claims that were made by the mainstream media at the advent of the Iraq War, the reasons that war happened and how the media behaved during it. See if we can learn anything about not only current wars, but the media agenda more broadly today. As mainstream US media outlets pause to remember the US invasion of Iraq, it's clear that there's a lot they hope we'll forget. First and foremost, the media's own active complicity in whipping up public support for the war. Have the media been complicit in whipping up support for any wars lately? Oh! But the more you dig into mainstream news coverage from that period, the harder it is to forget how flagrantly news networks across the broadcast and cable landscape uncritically spread the Bush administration's propaganda and actively excluded dissenting voices. You'll notice that, of course, it was Bush, a Republican president then, and it's Biden, a Democrat president now, and the differences are, in my view, not significant enough. The numbers don't lie. A 2003 report by the media watchdog Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting found that in the 2 weeks leading up to the invasion, ABC World News, NBC Nightly News, CBS Evening News, and the PBS NewsHour featured a total of 267 American experts, analysts, and commentators on camera to supposedly help make sense of the march to war. Of these 267 guests, an astounding 75% were current or former government or military officials, and a grand total of 1 expressed any skepticism. Okay, let's get 267 guests. Make sure that 3/4 of them are current government or military officials. Could there be any dissent? Hold on a minute, let me have a conference with my bosses. 267 carried on. You can have 1 dissenting voice. 1? Yeah. 1, and not a good one. Meanwhile, in the fast-growing world of cable news, Fox News' tough-talking pro-war jingoism was setting the standard for ratings-wary executives at most of the more liberal cable networks. MSNBC and CNN, feeling the heat of what industry insiders were calling the Fox effect, were desperately trying to outflank their right-wing rival and one another by actively eliminating critical voices and seeing who could bang the war drums loudest. So, I suppose what became the game was not reporting information, but amplifying a perspective that was based, I suppose, on conflict, not even the war that they were reporting on, but a doubling down on polarity. I suppose polarity in the world of physics is what creates energy, and I suppose in the world of media is what creates eyeballs. And so their function as truth tellers has been eroded to the point of invisibility and non-existence, and ultimately what they do is cheerlead it for a set of perspectives. I know you. You'd like to drop those leftover pandemic pounds that you put on during the pandemic because you were sad inside because of the pandemic. But how sick are you also of all the ads for weight loss pills and fad diets that probably don't even work anyway and might make your feet change colour? I've been there. I've done that. They don't work. They're a con. They're a trick. It's skullduggery. Do you know what actually works? Eating 5 healthy servings of fruit and vegetables
every single day. But who among us has time to prepare that every single day? This brings us around to Field of Greens. Field of Greens is a science-backed formula of specific fruits and vegetables you won't find in any other product. Proper nutrition reboots your metabolism so you can burn calories faster and lose weight a healthier way, and Field of Greens is the only brand backed by a better health promise. Yes, you'll look and feel healthier fast, but the greater proof comes at your next checkup when the doctor goes, whatever you're doing, keep it up. Okay, let's get you started with 15% off your first order. Visit brickhouserussell.com, promo code BRAND. That's brickhouserussell.com, promo code BRAND. And now, let's go back to that deep, intelligent piece of media critique analysis that you were just watching.
At MSNBC, as the Iraq invasion approached in early 2003, network executives decided to fire Phil Donahue, even though his show had the highest ratings on the channel. A leaked internal memo explained that top management saw Donahue as a tired left-wing liberal who would be a difficult public face for NBC in a time of war. Noting that Donahue seems to delight in presenting guests who are anti-war, anti-Bush, and skeptical of the administration's motives, the memo warned ominously that his show could end up being a home for the liberal anti-war agenda, at the same time that our competitors are waving the flag at every opportunity. Does it worry you that they don't care at all about important subjects like war or truth or what you feel or what's best for you? That it's a completely insular mindset that's based upon economic and commercial incentives. Now, I recognise the world we live in. We have economic and commercial requirements, but fortunately, they're in alignment with our principles. And I think that all of us have to somehow aggregate those choices. Like, am I being true to myself? Am I being honest? Can I have open, clear conversations? Can I justify myself? And obviously, Tucker Carlson is a person who is on a journey, recognizing that in this particular example, the Iraq War, he made a mistake. But there are very few people who can have that conversation because they are not free. They are trapped within a very, very particular role. Are you not sort of astonished by the lack of open conversation on MSNBC and CNN and even these right-wing media outlets that I've been condemned for appearing on? At least have done that. They are at least willing. And whether that's because temporarily our objectives and agenda align and who knows what the future holds, that's yet to be seen. What I return to again and again is the requirement for principles and values. If you have principles and values, then you can refer to them when you are confused. Like, oh no, this is a difficult situation. What do I believe in again? Do I believe in free speech? Do I believe in truth? Do I believe in listening to the opinions of people I disagree with? Do I agree with invading foreign countries? Do I agree with killing children? Do I agree with promoting wars when I don't understand the conditions that have led to them? Also, MSNBC and CNN glory and marvel in their differences from Fox News, continually attacking and condemning Fox News. But the facts suggest that they emulate and actively learn from Fox News, even changing their policy and attitude to a not insignificant subject like war, which will necessarily involve dead children if it's a ratings winner. So how can you say, hey, we're different, we're better, they're shit, when in fact you're copying them? Not only are you just like them, but with a slightly different view, you're simply just like them. Not to be outdone, CNN news chief Eason Jordan would boast on air that he'd met with Pentagon officials during the run-up to the invasion to get their approval for the on-camera war experts the network would rely on. It's the Twitter files of its day. What would you like us to say? We'd like you to say that war is good. War is good. Good work. Get some more experts on. Yeah, no, war's good. War is good. What about these dead children? No, don't film that. I think it's important to have experts explain the war and to describe the military hardware, describe the tactics, and talk about the strategy behind the conflict, Jordan explained. I went to the Pentagon myself several times before the war started and met with important people there and said, here are the generals we're thinking of retaining to advise us on the air and off about the war. And we got a big thumbs up on all of them. That was important. Excuse me, Pentagon. We're thinking of doing your propaganda for you and not questioning your incentives or the reasons behind the war, like, for example, the false claim there are weapons of mass destruction. What do you think of our experts? We're doing a great job. What you want is, no, you're holding us to account. All of the moral piety, all of the, how dare you, no, Fox is awful. Remember when I went on Bill Maher, that guy was as if I was attacking a church or a widow or something. It's like, it's just some bunch of media sluts pumping out crap into a dump. As journalist Norman Solomon observes, the bedrock democratic principle of an independent adversarial press was simply tossed out of the window. Hey, whoa, what about the bedrock principle of an adversarial and objective press? Oh yeah, no, I've been thinking about that. Here we go. Whee! that deals with that. Often journalists blame the government for the failure of the journalists themselves to do independent reporting, Solomon says. But nobody forced the major networks like CNN to do so much commentary from retired generals and admirals and all the rest of it. It wasn't even something to hide, ultimately. It was something to say to the American people, see, we're team players. We may be the news media, but we're on the same side and the same page as the Pentagon. And that really runs directly counter to the idea of an independent press. And it's also an idea that's still at play. Think about the pandemic. Who were the experts they brought out? What happened to experts that had critical ideas of the mainstream agenda? What are they doing in this war? Retired generals, people that work for Raytheon and Lockheed Martin. They are contemptuous. They don't deserve your attention. They don't deserve your time. We are working hard to deserve your time because we value you and respect you. They think you're dumb and you're stupid and that you'll take whatever you're given. That's why you've got to join us on this journey. The result was a barely debated, deceit-driven, headlong rush into a war of choice that was going to destabilize the region, accelerate global terrorism, bleed trillions of dollars from the US Treasury, and kill thousands of US service members and hundreds of thousands of Iraqis, most of them innocent civilians. So it's not an inconsequential thing. Oh, never mind, we all make mistakes. It's not that, is it? It's not like, I shouldn't have done that. Sorry, I broke your lawnmower while I was borrowing it. Let me buy you a new. This is children died. American service people died. Trillions of dollars was wasted. In part because the media didn't go, wait a second, should we be having this war? What's going on? Is there any relationship between the events of 9/11 and Iraq? The answer to that question is no, there isn't. Are there any weapons of mass destruction? The answer is no, there aren't. Will this improve our global standing and decrease terrorism? No, it won't. Far from it. It will diminish our global standing and it will create terrorism. Oh, well, now that you know all that and it's going to cost trillions, do you still want that war? Let me think about that now you've given us all the information. No. There you go. A completely different outcome. So when there's another war going on, at least question it. And if, for example, people that do question it, they're unpatriotic, they're Putin lovers. Oh, that's weird. Hold on a minute. I remember this from somewhere. Wait. It's you motherfuckers the whole time. Yet 2 decades later, as we hurtle even closer to potentially catastrophic new wars, there's been virtually no accountability or sustained reporting in mainstream news media to remind us of their own decisive role in selling the Iraq war. How MSNBC and CNN should begin every newscast every night. Hi, we're the guys that actively promoted the Iraq war. We were wrong to do that. It was a mistake. We've never admitted that before. We apologize. There's another war now we're going to advocate for. This time, we're definitely right. Even though we're doing, the exact same things. People connected to Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, smearing dissenting voices. This time, hopefully the dead children will all be worth it. Keep trusting us. Keep watching. It's an act of forgetting we can ill afford, especially as many of the same media patterns from 20 years ago now repeat themselves on overdrive, from the full-scale reboot and rehabilitation of leading Iraq war architects and cheerleaders to the news media's continuing over-reliance on experts drawn from the revolving door world of the Pentagon and the arms industry, often without disclosure. Here is an expert from the arms industry connected to the Pentagon. What was the last bit you said? It's an expert. And how are they experts? They know a lot about weapons. How come? They sell weapons. Okay, why do you mind your own fucking business? We're better than Fox! Memory is a strategic resource in any country, especially the memory of wars, the Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist Viet Thanh Nguyen has written. No doubt they'll be damned as a conspiracy theorist within the week. By controlling the narrative of the wars we fought, we justify the wars we're going to fight in the present. Yeah, of course, it's just common sense, isn't it? You can't ever delegitimize the authority of the media because otherwise you go, well, you are the media now, so we couldn't trust you then, we can't trust you now. There it is, we've just done it. That's what it is. You cannot trust them. That's not to say that Putin isn't an imperialist. It's literally not saying that it isn't terrible that all those Ukrainian people are dying. That is, in fact, the whole point. That's the main point. It's exactly because of that point that you have to be discerning, skeptical, that you have to campaign for peace and diplomacy. And above all else, you have to not trust them. As we mark the 20th anniversary of the murderous US invasion of Iraq, it's imperative to reclaim the memory of this war, not only from the Bush administration officials who waged it, but also from the corporate media system that helped sell it and has tried to control the narrative ever since. And they continue to try to control that narrative to this day. But they cannot do it if we do not comply. If we remain informed, if we refuse to accept their condemnation, smearing, criticism, prejudice, propaganda, bigotry and bias, if we stay awake, if we celebrate values like redemption, forgiveness, apology, apologizing, making amends, spiritual principles and values, if we exhibit them in ourselves and welcome them in others and put aside prejudice and bigotry, because what we want, individual freedom, freedom for communities, ability to confront corporate, globalist and state power, that's something we can all do together. Believe me, we have more in common with one another than separates and divides us. I want you to know that. They don't want you to know that. Whose side do you want to be on? Whose side do you wish you was on at the beginning of the pandemic now? Whose side do you wish you were on at the beginning of the Iraq war now? Which side do you want to be on now? Do you want to be on the side of justice, freedom, individual liberty, redemption, love, peace, valor, honor? Or do you just want to be another drone, another passive consumer staring dumbly at a screen, subject to a global evil empire that wants you distracted and numb? Pretty easy decision to make. Let's face it, it was a rhetorical question. Let me know, though, what you think about it in the comments below. We need you to stay with us. It's vital. The beginning of the movement is your engagement with our content. Turn on the notification bell right now. It's the only way they're going to let you have our content. Remember, we make a show every single day on Rumble, and my stand-up special is available over there. Until the next time, I love you. Stay free.
It's been a weird couple of years, let's face it. This is the COVID-19 timeline. January 2020, patients in Wuhan are infected with a new form of coronavirus. I remember that bit. I remember thinking, who gives a fucking shit? Tell me when it gets to a bit of China I've fucking heard of, then I might start caring. Listen! How much fucking spunk on a fucking bat do you need before you start understanding science? Yeah, but what? Well, it's just over here, the Wuhan Institute of Virology, where they're doing gain of function research on bat coronaviruses. I stood there like an obedient prisoner of the state on my little fucking sticker circle. Then I took my turn nicely. Like Twister for wankers. Listen to what some people said on the surveys we give out when you get tickets. Where are you, Mr. John? There he is, Mr. John, Mr. John. Response to the question, what's the naughtiest thing you did during lockdown? Telling all my neighbours I was a medical worker so they would direct their applause at me during clap for carers.